Hi guys, it's Tanya here, back with another Creator Insights video. So we're talking with Joe from Gigi's Island. If you haven't seen the tour already, I'll link it above and down below. It's just really, really stunning. So we're back here at nighttime to view it from in another light. So yeah, say hi, Joe.
Hi everyone.
So
Thanks
nice
so
to
much
talk
for
to
coming
you.
back. You too.
It's honestly my pleasure. I have a billion and a half questions, but I'll
Oh
try
my
to limit
gosh.
it just
Okay.
because, people don't have time to listen to a 10-hour video. But
Right.
yeah, so if you just lead us around and I'll
Yeah.
pepper you
Kind of
with
show you the
questions.
nighttime. Awesome.
Sweet. So, can you introduce yourself and just how you would describe your island theme?
Yes. My name is Joe, it's short for Joanna. And my island is very city, urban, with a little old town feel to it. There's a lot of like wood and brick inspired sections. So it kind of has that old town vibe to a city.
Yeah, I completely get that. Like, I think it definitely feels like a city with a lot of soul and a lot of life to it. It's
Hmm.
not a new build city. It's got a lot of character. It's really stunning. And just while we're getting to know you, I think
Yeah,
from what I understand, you work in the arts, right? Can you explain a little bit about that? And does that translate to your work in the game?
I do. And it definitely translates. So I'm a costume designer. I do wardrobe for film and television here in
Amazing.
LA. So obviously we are the last essential workers in this quarantine. So having this game during this time, it was an amazing outlet for me to kind of
Mm.
just like create or design, not necessarily in a clothing realm, but at the end of the day, it's still the same skills that I guess I'm kind of using.
For sure. I mean, I guess your work is illusions in film and TV, and you've done that in the game.
Thank
Um,
you.
and
Which
you
is
have you have so many incredible ideas. Can you share, like, how do you come up with some of them? Where do you draw your inspiration?
honestly, one thing that I really wanted to do with my city is make it feel as authentic as an Animal Crossing island can feel. So there's a lot of infrastructure in my city. So if there's like a post office or a train station, there's a loading dock for it. Everything kind of has a
Mm,
purpose. I live
mm.
in downtown LA myself. So I am forever a city urban girl as far as my surroundings. So I draw so much inspiration just from my backyard and walking around. And the other day, my boyfriend and I took a little stroll, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to make something like this on my island. How's this gonna happen? And he's just like, oh geez. But yeah, I love it when things make sense. But obviously, there's a whimsical part of the game too that's amazing. But um, I love it having, really having that feeling that, oh yeah, a city would have this, or it would make sense for this to be here because of this. And
Yeah, yeah.
I think the best place to draw that inspo from is where I personally live.
I really, really respect that because I think, yeah, I mean, it's a game and you want whimsy and everyone's imagination is being a bit suspended. But I love how you've kind of thought through that. So, yeah, I mean, another example is you have the pier and then you have the sushi. So, yeah, like
Hmm.
the fish comes from somewhere. I think that's really cool, and it definitely helps with the world building. Um,
Yeah, I
so
think
that's
that's
yeah.
something that I definitely found myself um like the flow of me designing my island. It's like, okay, well, if a post office is here, then maybe there's like a store nearby that people buy the stuff that they like ship out.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
kind of helped me figure out even where I wanted to place things. Like my brewery is next to the bar, and the
Yeah.
bar is next to financial district for happy hour, Wall Street. So it just kind of naturally made the decision for me, which was nice.
That's
uh,
brilliant. Yeah. So there's
but yeah,
tons of urban planning.
totally, right? Maybe I was in architecture in another realm. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. If costume design never gets boring.
There you
Um,
go.
and I was trying to think through my favorite areas, but
Yeah.
you have so many that I've never even seen anyone even try to allude to. You know, like the Wall Street area. I don't know if that's new, but that just blew my mind.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
your steel factory, your university, like no
Oh,
one
awesome.
I don't think
Thank
anyone's
you.
even touched something like that. um and yeah, with those, like, did you just one day think, I'm going to make a steel factory, or were you looking at items? Like, where did that come from?
It's crazy because so the Wall Street area is obviously like super modern, right? And then
Mm,
there's other places in my island that feel a little more old school or run down.
mm-hmm,
And it's going back to the question that I literally pull from my surroundings and where I personally live,
mm-hmm,
because there is a very high end section
mm,
in downtown LA. And then there's like what we call the artist district down here, where it's like abandoned warehouses
mm-hmm.
and old like mills, things like that. And so whenever I have an empty piece of land or decide to demolish something, I honestly always go back to like, what's the components of a city, or like, what's something in downtown that I kind of haven't covered. And then
Mm.
it just kind of goes through there. Like there's a huge warehouse that they now have random like warehouse parties at here where I live. But it used to be like an old some sort of factory, and there's just these huge, like there's steel everywhere. And I'm just like, okay, well
Incredible.
maybe, yeah. I'm like, there is that cool item in the game. That too, I draw inspiration from the items as well. If I'm like, we need to find a way to use these barrels, they're so cool. Oh,
Yeah,
boom, beer done.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, that was another question. Like, I think you have a really unusual way of using items. Like, you kind of push items beyond maybe what they're named, or
Mhm.
what the developers imagined that people would be using them. Like, you'd say the barrels, and then I noticed you had the faucet in front of it, so it looked like kegs. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, like what else? Like the film projector, and your swings as fencing. Like, where do you get that? Do you just stare at an item and flip it around, or how do you do that?
Honestly, I think because we're all playing the same game and we all have access to the same items, yeah, it is very easy to be like, oh, how can I use this in my own way or make my island unique? I think just always having that awareness has caused me to be like, okay, I need to think of like a cooler way to use this. Like, that person used it so amazing already that, there's
Mm-hmm.
got to be another way. And you just kind of push yourself. And yeah, it has literally, I had a swing, and I used to have a playground on my island, and I had a swing, and I had my construction hat on, and I accidentally built, or like I terraformed in front of it,
Mm-hmm.
like a piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I shut it down, I was like, oh my gosh, on the other side of the swing, all you see is like the top. And it was just like, it looks like a fence.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I wonder if I can find an edge a whole row, because not a lot of the items are flushed together, but the
Mm-hmm.
swings were. And I was just like, boom, done, fence.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is also
So a
like
happy
staring at
accident, but
something.
definitely, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I enjoy that part of the game so much, making your own. I mean, even the Instagram community, how many Japanese islands are there with
yeah.
amazing temples, but they're all so different and their use of items are so different. So
Totally.
it's
Yeah.
uh it's awesome.
No, it's just amazing. Like, I mean, just the amount of creativity in the whole community is outstanding.
Mhm.
So yeah, I also wanted to ask you about perspective work, because
Yes.
I'm more of the natural island kind of person. So
Mhm.
I've done very, very little perspective stuff, and this is an
Mhm.
example of just incredible cityscaping. what are some of the tricks to it? Like, how do you make it look so realistic and but layered at the same time?
Mm-hmm. I think with perspectives, a huge starting point for me is whether I want to look down at what I'm looking at or look up, because there's like
Mm.
usually two different kinds. I feel like when you look down at things, they seem further away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you look up, it's more like grand, but they seem closer. So it kind of just depends on what you want to achieve as far as like, are you going to build a city? Are you going to make a train feel like it's far away or
Mm.
more like this like grand close up? Um, but it's a lot of trial and error, I think. I mean, it's definitely not something that someone is just going to be like, these are the items I want. This is where I want to place it, and boom.
Mm.
Um, and because things are so far away, it's like placing something down, and then like, how many times did I go up to this cliff that we're at right now and being like, okay, I don't like that, or there's a blank spot over there, and then running all the way back around just to go fix it, and then coming back and then going down. So
Yeah.
definitely, I personally think it's not something that like you just know. It's a lot of trial and error, but it's awesome because there's never one that's the same. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one thing that I think people can really do whatever they want to it, because there's no right or wrong to play the game no matter what. But with,
For sure.
perspectives and cluttered spaces like this, it's like a lot of personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I like all the Gulliver items you have, like the Statue of Liberty and the Tower of
Yeah,
Pisa. Like it creates
totally.
a lot of extra dimension. It's not all just kind of straight
Hmm.
lines.
Gulliver's my favorite. All the Gulliver items, even this pirate Gulliver is like, obviously, I saw those dark colored barrels from the pirate
Mm.
Gulliver, and I was like, yes, for the brewery. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, mixing it up. There's even a rocket in there, I think, and that wedding
Is
organ
there a
back there.
rocket?
Yeah, you see that black, you see the red thing right there by the moon? It looks like a crane, like a construction crane. I hid the rocket so you don't see
Ah.
it. So it just looks like a crane during the day. But that white thing that
Wild.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
see
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
rocket from Celeste.
That
Yeah.
is so clever.
And then
I'm just
obviously the
registering that.
wedding
Wow.
organ back
Yeah.
there flipped around.
Yeah.
I even
Brilliant.
went as far as, if you look all the way down as much as you can, I made the floor black.
Oh,
um,
nice.
just so it can kind of like add depth to it. I know I'm like
Oh.
so OCD when it comes to stuff. I was like, I didn't want to see grass, because why would grass all of a sudden be on these buildings?
No,
And
that's
so,
definitely the right commitment.
um, but yeah, this was one of the very first things I made once I knew I wanted to go like full city with it. And I haven't touched it
Really?
since. I feel like it's gonna be a little crazy to update it, but I'm happy where
Yeah.
it's at.
It'd be hard, really, I think, crushing to remove something like that.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine, especially the people that restart their islands now to just like feel refreshed. I'm all about it, but
Oh,
I feel like it
yeah.
would break my heart a little.
Yeah, yeah. I've done the light version where I've just like torn down everything and then rebuilt.
Yeah,
Um and it's less heartbreaking, but yeah, just
you still have your
tedious.
DIYs. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah, and your villagers and
Yeah,
your
yeah.
items and everything. So it's less of a goodbye.
I know. I feel like
um,
eventually I'm gonna get there. I'm just waiting for the moment. I don't know when, but I could totally see myself doing that.
I honestly I could see you doing it too, because I think I've seen a tour of your island from a while back and it's changed so
Mhm.
much, and
So much.
I think you're gonna want some more square footage to work with. Some,
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh, let us terraform on the beach already, so we can just,
wouldn't
you
that be
know,
amazing? And
yeah,
you
and
could
we
build
can build
sand up.
those out. Exactly.
That'd be really, really cool. Um, and then I also wanted to ask you about your codes. So,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, some of them you've designed, right?
Yes.
So, can you
So,
talk us about that? Yeah.
yeah. Um, The very, very first thing I did in the game, I knew I wanted to go city to begin with, was look for roads. I
Mm.
saw some that I liked, and then some other ones were like 12, 15 spots that it took up in your
Oof.
QR slots, and it just like killed me because
Mm.
I wanted it so bad. And so after searching and just not finding anything I really was drawn to, I was like, let me try something. And so these roads are the very first thing I did, like, I think day 3 or 4 in the game, whenever you can even
Wow.
start doing something. Um, I was playing around with it. I obviously didn't place it till like I got like my nooks and my museum and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really, really fun. And then
That's really
I
cool.
got super addicted to just making everything very personalized
Yeah,
and
yeah,
GG style. So
for sure. I was
yeah.
saying I think the road is really, really nice because I've seen some of the urban road tiles, and I think a lot of them, I mean, there's really good stuff, but some of them feel more flat. They're like more matte colored,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that's so funny that you say that. Like, oh, I appreciate that so much. So when I first made the road, it was flat. And then going back to my Nicky or my picky OCD self, my flyover, I would be like, gosh, I wish there was more like dimension. Like it popped more.
Yeah,
And so I was like, I mean, it's still not fully clean, but I added texture to the
yeah.
gravel, and then that made like the world's difference.
I think it makes so
Um
much difference. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so much
and
more
it's cool, you
realistic.
can just always go back. I feel like I'm always kind of changing. Even the white part used to be super bright white, and then I
Mm-hmm.
added like these little gray spots on it
Yeah, it
just to
looks
make
kind
it
of
look a
faded.
little worn. Yeah.
Mm.
um But man, that's fun. Nintendo, this is like my favorite part of the game. Give us more slots.
Yeah, you
It's
have
seriously my
so
favorite part.
you seem to have so many codes, which I know everyone has exactly the same, but I think maybe it's about how you reuse them.
Hmm.
It's really smart. And so, what other codes have you made?
So the my latest ones are all the brick windows.
I really
So
love those. Yeah.
that one was a struggle because I really wanted that one, going back to what you said, to look 3D,
Mm.
um, or like shadowing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure, but or did I post it? I don't know, but like when I first placed the photos up, there's a photo and they actually are flat version. And then I went back in after just seeing like how everything looked. So these guys,
Yeah, yeah.
and I added like, I made the window not white, and then I added like a white border around it, which kind of makes it look 3D a little bit.
Mm, mm.
Um, but man, that took forever.
I can only imagine. Like I've played around with the code, the
Hmm.
custom designs, and I'm just so shockingly terrible. But this is just like all that brick. It looks so worn and realistic, and
Yeah.
that kind of loft, kind of worn
Yeah, which
building
is, I
feeling.
live in
Yeah,
a loft myself. So,
amazing.
like I said, totally inspired by right now. But yeah, man, that's so hard. Some people are so incredibly talented. I mean, everything I've done is like shapes, right? Super easy, square,
Mm,
diagonal lines, kind
I
of.
I would definitely
But
count you amongst the really talented creators
other
at this
people
point.
do crazy ones. Like, have you seen the ones where it's like they draw a villager, or it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like Judy ad or something, and it's, ugh,
yeah.
I'm just like, huh?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Proper pixel artists for sure.
right, totally.
And this one up here, it looks like people like you can see
People
into people's
inside,
houses.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that one I
Okay.
did myself too.
Amazing.
And what's awesome is, it obviously just repeats the top and bottom half, but
Hmm.
yeah, I wanted it to be like shadows,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
totally looked like someone was inside.
It's really
And
cool.
yeah, I'm glad you like that one, because at first I was like, I wonder if it matches the vibe of the brick, because a little more difference, just like a black
Yeah.
backdrop. But I couldn't do the brick again. I was so tired of it after doing it on the other ones. I'm like, let me just make this one all
I can
black.
imagine. I think it adds a really cool dimension. Like it's, if it was all brick, it would start looking more flat, I
The
think.
same, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And I mean, since we're talking about it, what are the tricks to designing then? Like, do you do pixel by pixel? How do you go about that?
Um, well, it just depends. So, like the roads, I'll do it like layers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, everything was pretty much layers, right? Like you put your base, which you want like the color to be, and
Mm-hmm.
then it has the cool little like preview window, obviously on the left. So as you're adding more and more, you can kind of see like how I added texture to my streets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to tell you the truth, I've spent a lot of bells on customization kits because nothing looks the same until you actually place it on whatever item
That's
um,
true. And
you're
then in
gonna
different
do.
light as well.
Yeah, like a lot of these the Windows stuff, it looked so a little bit cartoony in the actual program.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I put it on a simple panel that had like the brown around it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw that it doubled up so it looked like two windows. Like I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, I don't need to change too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, the way
so
the game renders is just so beautiful, isn't it? Like it really
yeah,
adds
yeah,
a lot.
that's why.
I think you mentioned that the skyline was something you created earlier on, but just
Yeah.
yeah, what was the area that you created, the first area that you created that you were really happy with?
Honestly, I think it was that.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Um, I when I first got the game, I've never played any of the other Animal Crossings, so this
Mhm.
is my first uh, version of the game. Um, when I didn't know to pick like a cool layout where your residence plaza is and all of that, so
Mhm.
I was very confused on what I wanted my theme to be.
Mhm.
Even just first playing, I think I was just collecting clothes and items and stuff. And then it
Yeah.
wasn't until um, I started seeing, like, oh my God, look at, this drink machine or this snack machine, this utility pole that I was like, I need to find a reason to use these. And that's when I basically decided to go urban with it. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
and then the first thing was the city, and I was just like, I need a view that's the same as the one out my window, and boom,
That's super
that's
cool.
how that started. Yeah, I was so proud of it. I was like, Pow, showing my boyfriend. I was like, look, and then he's like, that's Animal Crossing, and I was like, yeah, they're so cool, right?
Yeah, I can't
Um,
believe you did that so early on because I think that's something that I saw like a good month or two into playing and like
oh
looking at people on
yeah,
Instagram, you
I'd
know what I
have to
mean?
look at my Instagram when I posted it. I think it was like in May or something like that. May or I didn't buy the game at launch. So I started playing I think mid-April.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a while ago and I love it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And what about now? What's your favorite area now?
Honestly, I'm obsessed with my brewery. Um
It's so good.
when I first was like, gosh, I have this huge space. So I used to have a basketball court down there. That was like my little rec area.
Oh, cool.
Um, and then all those like really cool gym equipment things. But then it
Mhm.
just kind of didn't really it didn't, like I was saying earlier, it didn't make sense. I'm like, there's a train station here, and then there's like kind of like gym stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but man, when I was like, everyone was doing these cool buildings, like fake buildings, and I think it's a trend that's never gonna go away until they give us more buildings. Um,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make a like a brewery, something like beer. I'm a beer girl, so something along that realm. There's a brewery here in downtown LA that we always go to that kind of has this vibe where they have these arched windows on the
Mm.
outside, and then the inside doesn't look like a garage like this, but you're literally like the brewery's in a warehouse, and it's
Mhm.
so cool. And I
Yeah.
wanted the color palette to be the same too, like brown and grays and
Yeah. 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 I think, I mean, it's so realistic. It's a real hot trend here in London as well, and having them kind of like near the trains as well. A lot of them are under the
Yeah.
arches of the train, which is part of why I really love how close this is to your train station. I think it's, yeah, just really amazing.
I was gonna actually
Yeah.
try to tackle my own QR of one of my favorite beers, but see, I can do big designs, but these little tiny detailed ones, oh, so much love for the people that do them. It's hard.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to guess if you made this one or if it was another
No, this
creator.
one's definitely not mine. Yeah, it's a creator that I use a lot of the Japanese signs with,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, like these are so detailed. I feel like it's so much harder to see how everything's gonna look.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, maybe I'll tackle it one day. There's a logo I really want to use that I think would really personalize this area.
That's cool. I was thinking it was really cool how you had kind of Japanese beers and then the Japanese beer hall and stuff like that. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely highlights how it's an Asian town. Um, and then, yeah, near the end, I'm
Yeah.
sure I'll let you
No.
go at some point.
No. Oh my God, I could talk to you forever.
Likewise. Do you have any tips for people who are stuck on ideas? Like I know you said you get a lot of inspiration from your surroundings, but beyond that, any
Yeah.
tips?
Well, first of all, I think people need to realize like the burnout or the being stuck is a totally normal feeling with a game like this that's so open-ended. Like
Mm,
there's been so many frustrating days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have anybody over because this whole section, like when I had nothing where this brewery was, I was like, this whole section is just empty. Um, but I think the best tip is to just really look at your surroundings, especially if you have like a city urban area. It wasn't until, I'm not even joking, I would Google, if I'm just playing the game, I would Google like things in a city or downtown LA and then just click on images. And, maybe a post office shows up, maybe
yeah,
this. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Reality is good.
yeah, I think it's really cool when people build spaces that are inspired by certain things, whether they be like nature sections or a city,
Hmm.
because it just makes it a lot more like authentic. And I feel like you yourself get really into it because it's like, you're trying to make something look like something that is real.
Yeah, definitely. And so, do you draw from pictures, and you try to create similar things, or it's more freestyle?
Um, it's actually as far as like when I'm building an area, no, I'll open up my catalog and I'll go through the whole thing. And yes, it'll suck that we can only order 5 items a day, but I'll just start going through my storage, my catalog, and I'll just start buying stuff that I think could work for
Mm-hmm.
the area.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of dropped items around the village and around the island during those times. But yeah, I kind of just go from there, from scratch. Like even with that, even with this bar, for instance, I knew I wanted to use these den desks as the
Mm-hmm.
bar. And after I placed them, I actually found these QR codes. And after I saw there was like a hint of red and I didn't want it to be too bland, I was like, okay, let me find like something
Mm.
color.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
the dining chairs came in. And then I was like, what is usually at a bar? Oh, there's like maybe a pool table.
yeah.
Yeah, literally from real life.
So
This is
smart.
probably where I want to live now. That
you
is just
you
me.
can go between that and the brewery.
Right.
And your embassy, I thought that was a really cute idea.
Oh my
What
gosh. Yeah.
what
So
embassy is it?
it's the GG Embassy. It was so funny because who was it? My very first tour ever was Blathy's,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
she
I watched
kept,
that.
yeah, and I remember we were like texting back and forth, and she's like, okay, so I'm gonna move in. How do I move in? Who do I have to call to get a visa? And then I remember that so clearly. And then when I saw these, when it was like wedding season, I wanted to build another item, and I was like, okay, we don't need another resident services. Da, da, da. And I was like, let's just build like a place that people can get their visas to move into the island. I
I
don't know.
love it. I love
Sometimes
it.
stuff just comes out of my head, and I'm like, huh?
It's so smart. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Because when I was doing the tour, I was mumbling about putting in an application to be an ambassador.
Yeah,
though I
there
have
you go.
no
And I think I
qualifications.
yeah, it's like a thing that people say when they tour islands too. Now they're like, I'm just gonna move in.
Yeah.
Oh, fun little fact. I guess before you go, but so I was born and grew up in the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in a town called Apalit, and this area is highly inspired by it. I think I'm gonna post the actual photo
Oh, very cool.
one of these days, but obviously it was in a very like shanty area, and it would just be like rooftops of like tin
Mm-hmm.
and very slums vibe. And
Mm-hmm.
even though it may not go with everything else in my city, I was like, this is my homage to
Yeah.
the Philippines. But yeah.
I think it definitely goes. I mean, every city has its area like this, right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
I've spent quite a lot of time in Southeast Asia, and it definitely gave me that feeling. Like you think it's it's done really, really well. Super impressed. And yeah, so do you have any new plans that you have brewing or that you want to share?
I do. So, well, you're actually I literally finished that steel mill for you.
I'm so honored. It's so cool.
You're the very first person, but we're not completely saying bye to it, but this area is actually getting demolished.
Really? It's
Yeah,
such
but it's
cool
getting
forced
updated.
perspective.
It's totally still going to be a forced perspective. I've just started slowly actually making my island a little less Japanese city and more just like a city.
Yeah.
So it just like,
So the
there's a Wall
pagodas
Street
and-
here,
yeah.
and then there's a pagoda. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I said, I'm so weird about things kind of making sense. So this will still have that same idea, but it's totally going to change. And that I'm
that's
not
exciting.
rushed on. I mean, I have no idea what, but
Yeah.
I do know that. Bye pagodas.
Yeah, you're mulling over it. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you create there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just before I go, how can people find you? Because you stream, right?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram at joe.crossing, and I also stream on Twitch, and it's Joe Crossing without the dot.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas and your tips.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this
your
is
wisdom.
amazing that you do this. No, this is awesome. I watched all the other ones all week, so I listened to all the other ones, and it was great.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I've just loved getting to know people behind the island. Yeah. So I can't wait to see what you create next. And thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, amazing.
Bye.
Bye.